parenting doesn't stop because your kids can now chat GPT. Parenting doesn't stop because your kids can now Google for answers and everything.
Yeah.
Parenting never stops. Parenting doesn't actually even stop after you've become a grown-up, because you still have the opportunity to learn. I still learn from my parents. Your child's got a phone and they've got an entire world happening that you know nothing about. Okay. Then this gentleman shared information with the girl, said, listen, I can't video call you. I'm actually not 15, I'm actually 18. So this 12, 13-year-old then responded to say, you know what, I'm upset, you lied to me. He did the entire, I'm so sorry, can't wait to meet you. And she did not speak to him for about a day or two. Then something happened at school. Then he did one last jump. He's not 35, he's 40 years old. He's in a very loveless marriage. He's leaving her, but he wants to leave his wife for her. He's got kids, but they are now suffering because of this lifeless and loveless marriage. Now they are having conversations about things like what's happening at home. She's now sharing intimate information about the fact that mom and dad's been divorced, giving him vital information on where her soft spots are. Where's her, where's the sore, where's the ana, where's the heartbreak. As he makes himself older, she starts speaking more grown-up things with him, because he can now move closer to his real age. She's enjoying the fact that somebody sees her. She's a teenager. She's a girl. They don't feel seen, they don't feel loved, they don't feel a lot of those things, okay? And we can get into that.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of Safe Parenting with Funky Thing. And today I have Danie from National Centre of Child Protection with us. And we've spoken offline, and I'm very curious to know this man's story. So Danie, will you please just introduce yourself and why are you doing what you're doing? How did it start?
Yeah, so my name is Danie van Loggerenberg. I'm from the National Centre for Child Protection. I've been in child protection for the last 15 years. Where did it start? I think I was a very, very small boy. No, I know I was a very small boy. I was about 6 years old and I was sitting in a school hall. And I remember not knowing enough about school or what's going on. And I remember it felt like I heard a voice that said, you are different. And that's something that's always inspired me. And then growing up, I've always wanted to be one of about 4 or 5 things. One being a dominee, a pastor. So I've always wanted to preach in church and share the gospel. It's always made me very happy. I wanted to be Superman, but then I'm scared of flying and my underpants over my pants doesn't make any sense. I wanted to be James Bond, but running in a suit with this body would not be working at all. I wanted to be Springbok rugby captain, but my rugby career didn't go out that way. And then ultimately, I just wanted to make a difference. So that was one part of it. And then opportunities came along the road where I was given the opportunity to speak to children, make a difference, which was part of me being part of a church group and having that opportunity to speak to people and make a difference. And then, unfortunately, I got divorced. And in that process, my ex-wife and then new husband moved quite far away with my kids. And in that fight, so at that time I was already going to schools, motivating kids, speaking to them, trying to keep them safe. But in that process, I'm fighting a broken system, because the system is completely broken, fighting a corrupt magistrate, and going through all of that. I had to teach myself the Children's Act. I had to study it, learn about it, because eventually you can't afford attorneys and advocates anymore. And in that process, I met so many people that were struggling because their kids were either being bullied, being abused, being neglected, or literally stolen by a system, or as we call them, pathogenic parents. So that was my start, is doing this for my own kids, fighting for them, and making sure that I could be not only a part of their life, but also be somebody that they could follow, follow my footsteps, be an example to them. So yeah, that's where it all started. So it's probably a bit of a sad tale in the sense of I'm not doing it for anything else, but I'm doing it for my kids first. And because I'm doing it for them and they're now safe again and they're okay, I can do it for all the others.
I mean, that's also how we started at Funky Thing. It was I'm a mom. I don't want to give my child a cell phone, but I want to be connected and know where they are. That was my personal story. And that's why we started Funky Thing. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. So I think there's power in that. There's power in your story, because now your story, you are able to help thousands of other children. So yes, I think that's a really pretty. So the one question that I do want to ask you, Danie, is if you had a microphone and you could shout loudly to the audience of parents sitting in front of you, what would you say to them in your how many years in the industry or out in the field?
So first thing is, if you're going to give your child a cell phone and you're going to allow them to interact on a cell phone, you have to know that there are many dangers out there. And I love to use this example. Before you start driving, you start in your parents' backyard. Then eventually you go and write a test, and then you get your learner's license. And then for a while, you drive around with that large red L on the back window. And then eventually you have to go for a test, which none of us enjoy or have, enjoyed. And then this other person, this random stranger, judges you. And then if you pass, you are allowed to drive on your own. That's what we do because it's dangerous to drive without the necessary skills, etc. So why on earth will people then just give a child a cell phone? No learner's license, no having conversations about it, just handing them a phone, and kids are now speaking about who's got the best, newest brand, best brand, biggest phone, biggest memory, all that nonsense. And parents compete at Christmas parties and braais about who gave their child the biggest phone. So my message to them is, you're giving your child a phone, it's dangerous. If you're not having conversations about it, then you are being, please forgive me, but you're being stupid. Then if you've given them a phone, you've had a chat to them, you need to continuously monitor what they're doing on those phones. So that will be my first thing is, listen, your child has a phone. They've got access to the world. So the world seems like this massive, big place. But once you put a phone in somebody's hand, this world is no longer so big. It becomes a very small entity. And all of a sudden, we look at all these things that are happening out there, and it's in their hand. When I was a youngster, my parents could dictate what people or what celebrities or what sports stars had an influence on me, because they could decide whether the television was on or off. They could, in the middle of something, have a life lesson that says, this person is using foul language. We don't want you to use foul language. TV off. That has disappeared. Our kids are watching people that we don't know, that are influencing them in ways that we've got no idea about, saying things, doing things that we won't approve of, and our kids no longer know right from wrong. If you're giving your child a phone, stop. If your child then has a phone, I understand that. I'm not going to get involved. My kids have phones themselves. But then you have to have conversations, and you still have to be a parent. Parenting doesn't stop because your kids can now chat GPT. Parenting doesn't stop because your kids can now Google for answers and everything.
Yeah.
Parenting never stops. Parenting doesn't actually even stop after you've become a grown-up, because you still have the opportunity to learn. I still learn from my parents. So you have to take responsibility, make sure what they download, make sure who they interact with. I love this example at schools. I always point to a teacher that I don't know, and I always tell the kids, I don't know this teacher. And then they all say, it's a stranger. Yes. Would I go and speak to a stranger? No, you shouldn't. Why not? It's dangerous. They could kidnap you. They could influence you, all of that. Okay, and in the online world, no worry or concern about strangers. We love interacting with strangers. We set up certain photos or take certain photos, and then we want the stranger's approval. And that stranger's approval with a thumbs up or a like or a follow or whatever makes us feel good. And when we try and imitate that, continuously mirroring that until we get a bigger audience, which makes no sense. And I always use this example. So now kids, now that you know that, you go into a shopping mall and start doing weird things for people to show you a thumbs up. Oh.
Yeah.
So why on earth Are you allowing your kids to do that? What you've also been doing is you've been showing them the wrong example. Your kids are coming to you as parents and they're saying, Dad, Mom, I want to speak to you. I want to chat to you about something. I can't talk to you now. I'm just busy. And then the kids can see that you're busy scrolling on Facebook or whatever social media app. That's a massive concern.
That's true. That's the other flip coin, is if the parents are on what model are we. But I'm guilty. I'm one of those parents. I am guilty. But yeah, okay. So I think the thing that you want to scream out to parents is, don't give a cell phone, but if you do, try to delay it as far as possible. And when you do, have controls in place. Talk about, just as like you would go for your learners, you have to study the rules, know what is safe, what is not safe, etc. So Danie, what have you seen out there that specifically with a child having a phone? I mean, now they have this phone with them, and what have you seen out there that's been harming our children?
Yes, I'm going to share a specific case, and I've got hundreds and hundreds of these that get shared with us, and parents and family members asking for assistance. But this one particular one has always stayed with me because of the severity of how innocent a child could be and how it unfortunately ends up being very, very dangerous. So this young girl, she was 12, 13 at the time. So she was in grade 7, or as I went to school, started 5. And she met somebody on Instagram. So what happens is once your child is on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Snapchat, the world has access to them. Yes, they've got nice ways of changing their settings, and some of them, we teach them how to change their settings. So anybody cannot just follow them and all of that. And that's great to a point. But reality is, if somebody is a Springbok rugby player, for example, and it feels like this person is now trying to follow you, you're not going to say no. Most of the young girls, most of the young boys would say yes, not even thinking that somebody would be able to create a fake profile of that Springbok star or movie star or whatever. So you've got these kids that then allow these people in their lives. So this young lady allowed what looked like a surfer into her life. So she stayed in one of the coastal areas. So surfing was something that she knew more about. I always say, I grew up in KZN, so I knew surfing existed. To my kids that are, proper Pretorianers, they don't actually know too much about that. They know about it, but they think it's people in Australia and America that surf. So he looked familiar to her because it was a fake profile. So this person used a fake profile, said he was 15, wanted to follow her, she declined, wanted to follow her, she declined. Third time he sent a message to say, listen, I've never seen a girl as beautiful as you. But what has happened in between the two declines and after is that he went from having 0 followers to having at least 100, 200, 300 followers on his fake profile. So all of a sudden, it went from, I don't know if this is real, to somebody that a lot of other people have been duped into following. And in this particular case, this surfer acted like he was 15, used language of a child, etc. They spoke for a few weeks. And then this girl started asking questions. She wanted to video call and things like that because we go to schools. So kids know they shouldn't be doing it. Kids know this might be fake. But what they do is they still act and think like children. So she knew I wanted to video call because it didn't make sense anymore. She only had this one photo. She couldn't find this person on Google or anything like that. So she really, in her mind, in any case, tried. Biggest problem, obviously, she didn't go to mom and dad and said, Mom, Dad, this stranger's speaking to me and so forth. No, because that's the problem. Your child's got a phone and they've got an entire world happening that you know nothing about. Okay. Then this gentleman shared information with the girl, said, listen, I can't video call you. I'm actually not 15. I'm actually 18. So this 12, 13-year-old then responded to say, you know what, I'm upset. You lied to me. He did the entire, I'm so sorry, can't wait to meet you. And she did not speak to him for about a day or two. Then something happened at school. She had a very bad test. So she got like, I can't remember the exact percentage, she got like 30 to 35%. I think it was a maths test. And now she didn't want to share that with her parents either. So who did she go to? To this young surfer who she's now built a relationship with in her mind in any case. Started speaking again, another 2-3 weeks down the line. He said, I'm no longer 18. I'm actually 25. So again, she was upset for a day or two, but life happens, and then she continued to speak with him. Remember, your child now starts forming a relationship with this person. And that relationship is now also becomes your go-to person. So I always tell people, a lot of people always tell me they don't want to be alone. When I still used to do counseling through the church, and I sat with a lot of young people, and I would have ladies 20, 24, 28 would share things like, I don't want to be on my own, I don't like being alone, etc. So now with that kept in mind, we continue to go to this person, although we now realize this person might not be good for us or good to us. We continue to go to them because we've built a relationship. That relationship isn't just, just in Afrikaans we say maanskyne en rose. That is a bond that's formed. Some bonds are formed on trauma. And if your viewers want to go and look it up, go and Google what a trauma bond is. And a lot of things would make sense from that. So that continued, then 25, I'm no longer 25, I'm actually 35. And then she was quite upset again, but then he offered her the little lifeline. Now, remember, they're now continuously speaking about things like school. As he makes himself older, she starts speaking more grown-up things with him. Because he can now move closer to his real age. She's enjoying the fact that somebody sees her. She's a teenager. She's a girl. They don't feel seen. They don't feel loved. They don't feel a lot of those things. Okay, and we can get into that later. But unfortunately, that's true. Now she's continuously speaking to this person about things that are bigger than what she can actually understand. He's now in that process desensitizing her. So he sends her, for example, a short link to a pornographic video. And then she says, I don't want to see these things. And he says, I'm so sorry. I thought it was a fun something and I sent this to you. But he now continuously brings conversations back to, but did you watch it? What did you think of that? Is it something you've thought of? And because she's so young, no, but now she's being open up. So she's now speaking to her friends at school about some of these things. So all of a sudden we're having conversations about, have you touched yourself? Have you thought about a boy in that way? Have you thought whether you're straight or gay? So those conversations are now brought to a table, which was never ever going to be even in discussion. Now she also shares with them that she's got this link, which she then obviously shared to some of her friends. So originally it was a shock and it was a no ways. But I don't want to act like a child in front of this grown up now. So him making himself a lot older also created opportunities for other conversations to take place. Okay. Then he did one last jump. He's not 35, he's 40 years old. He's in a very loveless marriage. He's leaving her, but he wants to leave his wife for her. He's got kids, but they are now suffering because of this lifeless and loveless marriage. Now they are having conversations about things like what's happening at home. She's now sharing intimate information about the fact that mom and dad's been divorced, giving him vital information on where her soft spots are. Where's the sore? Where's the ana? Where's the heartbreak? He also now tests her with regards to the fact that all you ladies have this, what we call mother instinct. So now the fact that he's got little youngsters makes her think, oh, what right mind 13-year-old even thinks of that? But in South Africa in 2020, we had 688 births from 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds. Registered births, which we could trace in terms of they've been registered through hospitals and stuff. I can guarantee you, and I know for a fact that that number was deflated to the least amount that they thought was okay to share. So there's just enough information being shared to get that going. Then one day, mom and dad was busy fighting. They got divorced, like literally, or they were in the process of divorce at that stage. So she was not happy at home, this youngster. I mean, she's 12, 13 years old. He's now said he's 40, she's upset, she hasn't done a video call at all. And one day, mom and dad fights. And she says to him, I need to get out of here. And he says, I'll pick you up. She lies to mom and dad and says, I'm going to a friend. Dad's not happy, but dad doesn't live at home anymore. Dad, unfortunately, is not as involved as he used to be. And mom has too much on her plate. I'm not coming up for mom, but mom has kind of forgotten that she's got a daughter that needs help and assistance as well. He picks her up. They go to a McDonald's. They have, their meal. And then he takes her to a hotel. He books her in. He rapes her. And then he lets her be. He lets her go. By that time, her cell phone no longer had battery power, so she had no way of contacting anyone. She does not realize at that point that she's been raped. She does also not realize at that point that she's been hurt and played. After a long search, she was eventually found. Obviously, she was very shy, upset, didn't want to share anything with time. She started sharing. She's so in love. But this guy no longer responds to her questions. He no longer responds to her messages. He no longer responds to anything. Then, after a long struggle, we got enough information, and it was found that this guy was not only a married guy with 2 kids, according to his wife, very happily married. He also had an upstanding job. I don't want to share what profession. Upstanding job where he was working and interacting with kids on a daily basis, which is very, very sad. So he had the power to manipulate because he was interacting with kids on a daily basis. He had the knowledge. He had the slang words under control, so he knew how to get around. And to find the photo was so easy as to go onto Google and find a photo of a surfer. And I mean, you probably won't just find surfers, you'll find people that look like surfers. The young girl didn't want to accept that she was raped, even after he started ignoring her and so forth, until, eventually she sat down with someone and explained exactly what happened. And then when we wanted information about this alleged perpetrator, she didn't want to share any information because she wanted to protect the alleged perpetrator, what we call Stockholm Syndrome. So she wanted to protect the person that hurt her because they created a bond. Felt like they were one, they were a team. And the sad reality is she lost quite a lot. So she's by now realized that she was hurt, she was violated, she was played. But you can imagine the impact that has now on her going forward. She's 16 now. She still hasn't recovered fully. She's never ever been on a date. She's never trusted anyone else. She resents dad, blaming him because of the divorce. She's upset with mom because when she wanted to speak to mom was busy, according to her on Facebook scrolling, etc. So that girl's life is, I wouldn't say ruined, but hurt and broken. And there's so many of these stories I can share. I always tell the kids, they don't just want to pick you up to rape you or to hurt you or to sell you. Sometimes they just pick you up because they're broken and they want to break you. And in that way, whichever way is needed. Then we also find that a lot of girls in this instance as well, how it's that desensitized videos that he started sending the photos. She started sending him photos like that as well. So what he does, sends you a naked photo and then he says, so sorry, didn't mean to do that. And then she, rightfully, in her mind, not rightfully like it says reg, rightfully like, and it makes sense that she thought that way. She thought like, but this is what he likes. And then she starts sending him photos. Don't I look better than that? You shouldn't be looking at that. I can send you photos. Then he'll send her clips and information, voice notes on what he wants her to do on videos, which he then acts out because she wants his approval. So a lot of people think these young girls and boys, it happens to boys too, want to be naked on screen, or naked on a photo, or naked on a video. That's not true. They want the compliment, the approval, the time, the effort. Remember, when people don't message you, they don't think of you. This person set aside time to communicate with her, made her feel special. As wrong as it sounds and as all of that, it makes her feel special. So, Mom, I want to speak to you. I'm busy. I had a bad test today. Well, tell me all about it. Compare those two to a 12, 13-year-old. It does make a massive difference. So our kids are not safe, especially online. These things happen more than people want to know. And the long-term effect of that, you can't take it back. Relationship between daughter and mom is damaged. Relationship between daughter and dad is damaged. Relationship between the girl and her future husband is damaged. And that gentleman, although he was caught and all of that, he's going to be out of jail soon, and he's going to be able to do the same again. Because you'll get to a place where they'll say, but she consented. She'll tell you eventually, in the beginning, she said, I didn't say no. I wanted to grow old with him. What 13-year-old wants to grow old with somebody in their 40s? It doesn't make any sense.
No, to put it out blindly, he's a pedophile. I mean, she was 12, 13. That's underaged. So, but like you say, there's a trauma bond, and she doesn't see that. So, Danie, how would you think the situation could have turned out differently if there were measures and in place? What tips can you give for parents out there? Just to, if we take this scenario, just to turn it, and hopefully with the right measures could have turned it for the better.
Well, there's a few things. Obviously, I now know about your watch, so that would have been great. Once she got hurt, it would have been great to be able to let somebody know where she is.
To track her.
Yes, 100%. When mom phoned the friend's mom and realized she wasn't with her, they would have allowed mom to track her, to know where she is. I think that would have helped. But before that, obviously, there's a lot that should have taken place. Once your child says to you, Mom, I want to speak. I mean, I've got 2 teenagers. They don't really like to speak anything to any grown-up. If your child reaches out to you, and it's something that in my household we very big about, is communication. I tend to speak about everything. And I said the other day, my daughter shared information with me. She sat with me. She said, Dad, this is happening. I don't think this one friendship is still good for me, etc. That makes me happy, because I'm a parent that's being trusted with those, that information, that communication. So mom should not have been there. I get that moms and dads go through a lot of things themselves, but then you put down your phone. Your daughter, because you're a parent, needs to go to bed at a certain time, and then you can scroll on Facebook. I don't want to take away your Facebook scrolling, whether you like it or not. I find it silly, but I mean, each to its own. So that would have been step number 1. Step number 2 would have been great for mom and dad to sit her around a table, they didn't make her feel guilty, but a lot of kids will tell you they feel it's their fault that their parents got divorced. Have a conversation with your child, even though you feel they're young. Ask them, do you have any questions? What would you like to know? Remember, the entire world's now falling apart. So have that conversation. This is what's going to happen. Dad's going to move, or mom's going to move. There's going to be a second household. There is someone else. Be honest with them. Because remember, once we start lying to our kids, they stop trusting us. And when they stop trusting us, they don't go to us for the big things. Then they go to other kids for the big things. And you don't want your 13-year-old, your 12-year-old, your 10-year-old to go to another 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old for real big person, grown-up adult advice. So that could have been, Mom could have done better. Dad obviously could have done better. Have the conversation with your daughter, and then have the measures in place. If you're going to allow her on Instagram, make sure that you know who she's speaking to on Instagram. If we're currently speaking about 35% of all our children that are dating somebody they've never met before in real life.
Oh, wow. 35%.
35%. And it sounds a lot. I actually think it's more, but you can imagine how many people do you interact with on Instagram that you've never met. and you are married, but I mean, if you weren't, you'd
Yeah.
be interacting with somebody and might have conversations that lead to something else. So on Instagram, Snapchat's bad. I don't know why parents allow their kids to have Snapchat, Facebook, and there's many other apps which I don't even want to mention, because the kids then go and Google them and download them. But all of that shows us this picture where kids are speaking to someone. They're not sure if this person is real.
Yeah.
They take it that there's a profile picture and there's a name connected to it, and that must be real, which in most instances it's not at all. And because they have that, they now interact with this person. They start dating this person. They start sharing intimate details, photos, videos with this person. They've never met them in real life. I remember a case in a high school where a girl in a class created a fake boy profile, went after one of her, what back then she called a friend, did the same to her, and then shared all the photos and videos with everybody else in the school through DMs on Instagram and so forth, and then made her out to be this this girl that is loose and easy and all of that, which not really is the case. She made a mistake because she thought she was in some sort of a relationship. Still doesn't make it right, but she didn't share it with the public. She shared it with what she thought was an intimate relationship. My question to her was as well, but you've never met the person.
Yeah.
And now with AI, that becomes increasingly more difficult, because now people are faking voice notes. They are faking, they are able to use a face and do video calls and have conversations and change voice, etc. So it's becoming more and more difficult. So if you don't have the basics under control, AI is really be in for a ride.
Yes. Danie, I think the one measure that came up to my mind is if your child has a phone and they are on social media, that's where at least let's say before they go to bed, let them bring their phones, no screens in the bedroom, and then you can have access to their phones. Just see who they're chatting. I know it sounds like you're micromanaging, but parents, do we really want to be the mother whose daughter, with this situation, whose daughter was raped because we didn't check who they spoke to? So, I think to just wrap up this episode, thank you for sharing that story. I think it's hard to listen to, but it's the reality. And for us as parents to be present and communicate, I think that's the whole message that I took from this. So thank you, Danie. Really appreciate having you here.
Thank you for having me.